time. GL Bajaj Institute of Technology and Management is one of the preferred colleges of North India for a student who aspires to get an engineering degree or a management degree. We have been awarded the Diamond overall rating by QS iGauge, and we fall in the excellent band of ARIA rankings. We have recently become a Prayas Center and are among the 14 Prayas centers to be selected by the Department of Science and Technology Pan-India with a grant of rupees 3 crores to promote entrepreneurship. The list of achievements is long, but since we have to move ahead with the program, may I now request Director Sir, along with the Chief Guests and the Guests of Honor, to please take their place on the dais. I would like the volunteers to escort them, please. The Guests of Honor, Chief Guests, Director Sir. Welcome once again to GL Bajaj, all of you. We move ahead with the program. May I now request Director Sir to present a welcome bouquet to our Chief Guest, Shri S.N. Tripathi Ji, DG, IIPA. Once again, we welcome you to this conference, sir. Thank you for doing the honors, sir. I humbly request Dr. Sashank Awasthi, Dean Strategy, GLB ITM, to welcome our guest from abroad, Mr. Eon Mercia Hinde, from the High Commission, Canada. Thank you, sir, for flying all the way to India. Indeed, an honor to have you here, sir. Welcome once again to GL Bajaj and to this conference. May I now call upon Dr. Vikas Tripathi's HOD Management Studies GLB ITM to please present a welcome bouquet to our guest of honor, Dr. Rakesh Gupta from the Griffith University, Australia. Pleasure to have you among us, sir. Thank you. Thank you for doing the honors, sir. May I now request Dr. Kanhaiya Singh from the Department of Management Studies, GLB ITM, to welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Charan Singh, CEO and Founder Director, eGrow Foundation. Honored to have you here, sir. Thank you, Kanhaiya sir, for doing the honors. I humbly request Mrs. Manju Khatri, Director, Training and Placement, GLB ITM, to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. G.S. Vijay Kumar, DGM, ONGC. Once again, a very warm welcome, sir, to GL Bajaj. Let's welcome him with a huge round of applause. An institute does miracles under the guidance of an able administrator, and we are privileged to have one such personality with us as our director, who is ever ready to help us grow and expand our horizons. May I now invite Dr. Manas Kumar Mishra, Director GLB ITM, for the welcome address. So please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Arthi ma'am. At the outset, I thank the students who presented the Saraswati Vandana in a beautiful manner that sets the tone for the wonderful discussions that are going to happen for the next 2 days and today itself. First of all, it's my proud privilege to welcome everyone in this Saras gathering, including the eminent personalities who are on the dais and off the dais, as well as the students and other author participants. GL Bajaj has been, as the Master of Ceremony has already mentioned, is one of the premier institutes in this part of the country. And being a premier institute, it is also equally important for us to realize the responsibility that we need to cater to. That is to provide a platform for the people around as well as across the globe to discuss and debate on issues which are of a larger interest. And this conference happens to be one of them. So on the behalf of the management, the entire fraternity of GL Bajaj, and on my own behalf, I welcome each one of you. It's my privilege to welcome one of the prominent IAS officers that the country has produced, Mr. S.N. Tripathi, the Director General of IAPA. It's great to have you here today, sir. And on my personal, connection with him, I was just going through his profile. I realized that he's a 1985 Odisha cadre IAS officer, and because that is my home state, that's one of the good connection I could find out. And there was many. Over the discussion, we realized that there are a lot of common points, and if you go through his profile, you realize he was a great administrator throughout his career, and the current post that he is holding also reflects the caliber and the governance that he could bring in. And one of the 5G topic that is talking about governance and leadership. So having Tripathi sir here as the chief guest is a proper way of starting the whole discussion on the conference, which talks about good governance and good practices. So I extend again a warm welcome to you, sir. Great to see you here. With your busy schedule, you could find time to grace the occasion. I welcome the guest of honor, one of the guests of honor, Dr. Charan Singh. And sir is CEO and founder director of eGrow Foundation. I welcome you here, sir, on this occasion. And this was the second interaction that I had with him. In the previous interaction where it was on the union budget, I could tell you that those who might have missed this interaction could, today can get immensely benefited with the kind of simplistic presentation that Dr. Singh brings in with the analysis about financial aspects of governance. And great to have you here, sir. It will be an opportunity for the entire audience to listen to you. It's quite heartening to welcome one of the guests of honor, Mr. Yun, who is from High Commission of Canada. He is one of the representatives of G20 countries. Mr. Yon is a senior analyst, and the passion for his work is reflected because through the discussion we had in the morning, where he was very keen to look for technical graduates who can work on some app development, and that goes to show that he is using a lot of business analytics tools and AI-driven technologies as well. And as a technical institute primarily, though this is a management conference, but as a technical institute primarily, we can supplement that journey. It's great to have you here, sir. It's my privilege to welcome Dr. Rakesh Gupta, another G20 country representative from Griffith University in Australia. Dr. Rakesh happens to be one of the pioneers in the field of, again, e-governance and related to finances. So, great to have you here, sir. I welcome you. Any of the, one of the theme of this conference is green initiatives, and when you talk about green initiatives and good practices, the industry plays a major role. It's academia only will not be able to serve the purpose. So on the dais we have one of the guests of honor, Mr. G.S. Vijay Kumar, who is the DGM of ONGC. I welcome you, sir, because your inclusion in this conference and the participation from ONGC shows that commitment of the company related to green initiatives, and the theme of the conference is more strengthened by your presence. Thank you for being here. I welcome all the directors, deans, head of the departments, and people from other countries. I could see a few representation from Nepal. So great to have you here. Hope that next 2 days your stay and the discussion that you will be part of will be very fruitful. And I could see Mr. Amitav Ranjan from IIPA. Thank you for being here to find, and everyone who is present over here, we extend a warm welcome and hope that this 2 days conference will give a very good platform. Though I have been already told that the conference in terms of submission and representation from various countries has been already successful, but we feel that next 2 days the discussions will also be fruitful, and at the end of tomorrow we should be able to come up with something qualitative which can contribute to the society as an output of this particular conference. With these words, I welcome all of you once again and thank you for finding time and being here. Good day.
Thank you, sir, for the address. As the conference has been organized by the Department of Management Studies, we can estimate the amount of preparation, the amount of effort that goes in from the entire department, along with a bit of tension, which obviously is experienced a bit more by the HOD. But the best part was, we saw HOD sir calm and composed and always having a solution for all the problems. So may I now call upon Dr. Vikas Tripathi, HOD, MBA, to please come over for the theme address. Sir, please.
Thank you, ma'am. So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now it is okay. So, first of all, I would like to thank our guests for being here, our students who are enthusiastic to learn that what is going on in industry, what is going in academia in latest. So I thank all of you. So as a customary, I have to give the theme address. Theme address means like what are the areas where this particular conference is going to be, and what can be the different deliberations of different people on different areas. So I am starting my theme address. Assuming G20 presidency by India during 2023 has been a remarkable milestone in the growth journey of India, and it has enthused the people of India to greater extent, and each organization feels committed to take up this mission at a large scale and contribute something concrete. There have been series of events, meetings, conferences towards this direction. Organizing national and international conferences remains the common feature where many organizations have taken a lead, more so the educational institutions. In GL Bajaj Institute of Technology and Management, we saw the G20 mission in a different perspective, and therefore we decided to focus the conference theme on dynamics of 5G. The 5G are symbolized in 5 different ways. First G is governance and leadership. Leadership encompasses of a vision with prudent approach, development with reforms, changes with innovations, resilience and determination with a strong leadership skill. Governance refers to structures and processes designed to ensure accountability, transparency, responsiveness, rule of law, stability, equity, inclusiveness and empowerment, and broad-based participation. The second G, which is coming in picture, is growth management. The growth management is a process of planning and designing tools and techniques to guide the development so as to achieve determined goals and objectives of growth. The components of any growth comprises of community, economic and environmental implications that need to be examined and reoriented in arriving at the most desirable growth solutions. Third G is global entrepreneurship, an effective coordination and flow of resources in terms of businesses and expansion of new ventures across the national borders will lead to global economic stability. The policies and environment arrangements like ease of doing business, facilities for skill development, opportunities for startups, product and process innovation, opportunity, perception among entrepreneurs, facilitate the growth of global entrepreneurship to a larger extent. In the present context, the globalization has changed the way businesses operate drastically. Green investment is the fourth G. It refers to extending environmental and infrastructure support for the business practices that have a favorable impact on the natural environment. This can be in the direction of socially responsible investing, focus on environment, social and governance. The green investments focus on businesses or projects that are committed to the conservation of natural resources, pollution reduction, or other environmentally conscious business practices. And finally, the last G is good practices. The good institutional practices are the most effective instrument that help in promoting policy coherence for sustainable development by country and by building block. The good practices and sustainable developments goes together. Good practices can be referred as a promotion and protection to the policy guidelines, positive impact on implementation processes and procedures, and thus creating an impressive image among the various stakeholders involved in the growth process all across the sectors and segments nationally and globally. So I would like to end my address here, and by assuming that in coming 2 days we will be discussing all those things which I had just elaborated. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for giving us a brief about the conference. May I now take the honor of giving a short introduction of our guest of honor, Dr. Rakesh Gupta. Dr. Rakesh Gupta is a senior lecturer in finance at the Griffith Business School in Brisbane, Australia. He joined Griffith in 2011 from Central Queensland University in Australia. He has been a visiting scholar at a number of universities in China, Vietnam, India, and the US. He teaches derivatives, risk management, special topics in finance, contemporary issues in financial planning, and quantitative methods classes at both graduate and undergraduate levels. His research covers a variety of topics related to financial markets and institutions, investments, empirical finance, and impact of climate change on economy. Dr. Rakesh has published more than 60 research articles in leading journals, including Economic Modeling, Energy Economics, International Review of Financial Analysis, Applied Economics, Pacific Basin Finance Journal. His research has been widely cited with an Edge index of 16 and 3,000 citations on Google Scholar. A huge round of applause for this, please. Sir, we now request you to please come over and share your thoughts with us. Sir, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to talk about something which is going to contradict that everyone tells you. We are all going towards standardization, we are all going towards nationalism. In the G20 or in our learning institutions, we want accreditation with WCSB, we want accreditation with number of different accrediting bodies. AICT, WCSB, and then we want accreditation with CPA, CA, ICWA, CMA, and the list goes on. Because we want standardization. So let me talk about this standardization a little bit. I won't go through the introduction. So standardization, what it does is benchmarks. This is the minimum benchmark we should achieve. And the other word that I talk about is perfection. What does perfection do? Perfection is an expression of self. It is a metaphor for self-expression. It is not derived by a benchmark, it is not derived by a standard, it is not derived by a minimum benchmark or an average. So think about some of these words that I'll talk about in a few seconds. What does standard do? A level of quality of attainment. So when we talk about governance, we talk about global connectedness, we talk about any other Gs in our 5G or any other countries in our G20. We are talking about standard, we are talking about benchmark, we are talking about average, we are talking about minimum quality. We are not talking about excellence. We are not talking about individualism. We are not talking about perfection. It is all about minimum standard. Do not exceed me. Do not exceed me. Reach this standard. So we are using a concept of quality as a norm. This is the key phrase here, established by an authority. It is not established by you as an individual, it is established by an authority, whether it is the school, the university, institution, government, policymaker, or the head of the state. Let's talk about excellence. And I'm talking about dictionary words here. I'm not talking about anything self-made. I'm not talking about anything different. These are the words we all have learned in our primary school. Choiceness, distinction, excellency, first-rateness, greatness, perfection. mind you, there is no quality, there is no average, there is no minimum benchmark, there is no standard. Superbness, superiority, supremacy, faultlessness, flawlessness, impeccability, perfectness. There is no quality, there is no average, there is no minimum benchmark, nothing. It is what I believe is good is good. What I believe is perfect is perfect. Perfection is a metaphor for self-expression, as I said in the beginning, or a notion of self-expression. From an institutional perspective, if we think about, excellence aims to academic freedom for the teacher or faculty. This is the kicker I want to get to, and this is what I want to get to bring it into the mindset of my colleagues at different institutions. Standardization leads to administrative control, adherence to corporate aims and directions. So whatever the philosophy of the institution is, what is the standard? The standard is governed by the philosophy of the institution, not the faculty. And the last one is very, very important and critical. It also provides an adherence to a political ideology that trickles down from top. This is one thing which we are actually not paying any attention to when we are aiming for the standardization and benchmark. That standardization and benchmarks help us to trickle down some sort of a political ideology from top to the bottom. Social, political, personal ideology to be trickled down from top to the bottom. If we look at from an individual perspective, standardization leads to satisfaction. I have achieved this, I can go and sleep now. You gave me the benchmark, you gave me the minimum standard, I have achieved it, I don't need to push myself any harder, I can go and sleep. Whereas excellence leads to dissatisfaction of not being able to achieve an imaginary level of fineness. This level of fineness or excellence or perfection is imaginary. There is no line in the sand that defines it. That's my phrase, which I believe it leads one to be perfectly dissatisfied, which I claim as necessity for growth. So an idea of perfection leads to dissatisfaction with yourself. That is what we need for personal growth. Let's get back to why do we educate people? Do we want to train people who can perform tasks to a standard? Or we want to train people who can critically think and improve? Benchmark achieves the first. No benchmark achieves the second. Do we want people to learn how to use a whale effectively? Or improve that whale for further improvements? What we are doing with perfection is using the whale to the best, most effectively. Let me take you back to our greatest philosophers in life. Socrates, your inner voice should be above the law. He lived and died for that. Indian thought, Ramakrishna, so many paths to reach one and the same goal. Perfection gives us one path to reach one goal. This is the best. Whereas we can find a number of different paths to reach that. Finally, I come to what's the value of institutions, what's the value of universities, or what's the value of Gurukul, what's the value of Guru, who is the custodian of knowledge, administrator, professional bodies, institutions of learning, who? This distinction is very, very important because this defines the perfection or standardization. This defines the distinction between the two. If you go for standardization, you have transferred your custodial ownership of the knowledge to the administrator. So the knowledge is no more owned by the professor. The knowledge is no more owned by the institution. Knowledge is no more owned by the imparter of the knowledge. It is owned by the administrator. Administrator tells you what, how to teach. You don't decide what to teach and how to teach. AACSB tells you what to teach and how to teach. CPA tells you what to teach and how to teach, and how to examine. It's not your judgment. Because this distinction leads to government agenda, provision of solutions to the problems faced by professional bodies, or leads to furthering knowledge. So if we have the ownership of the knowledge by the custodian of knowledge, traditionally, the institutions, then you further knowledge. If it is owned by the government or the administrator, then you provide the government agenda. Finally, who are our clients? Students, parents, government, society, training for job market. Who are our clients? Education needs to be considered as a social good, not as a provision of the knowledge. As not the provision of the knowledge for the purpose of doing a job, for the purpose of finding a job, for the purpose of doing something or solving some problem. It is a social good. It cannot be valued in terms of how much money my graduates make, how quickly my graduates get the job. I know we are all fascinated by that, but that's not what the purpose of knowledge is. It needs to be considered in terms of service to society at large and not in the context of jobs. Going back to our wonderful accreditation processes that we all follow, AACSB, AMBA, EFMD, ECPIS, Council for Higher Education, and IRF, QS, Times Higher Education. That's what we are all fascinated by day in, day out. But is that the all? That only provides minimum benchmark. These structures, systems, benchmark help to achieve a basic minimum standard that are acceptable for the industry. And I'm using the term industry very consciously and deliberately to include institutions, policymakers, accreditation bodies, and everyone else that is involved in there. They provide audits, quality. They are excellent tools for quality management. They provide an appropriate level of quality, but does not aim for excellence. And that fine distinction between the excellence or perfection and standardization need to be kept in mind, understood at our forefront. For excellence, we need to have each individual within the system and the institution to aim for that self-expression. That independence, self-expression, risk-taking, and then improving things, failing in number of things when we teach, when we research, when we do things, rather than follow the standard path. So, accreditation achieves minimum standard, or sometimes I'm an empirical finance person, so I use those quantitative terms more often. Regression to me. We are not looking for the outliers, whereas I am looking for the outlier. So when we go with the self-expression, we are being outliers, not on the mean. Excellence, one must be unsatisfied and unhappy with one's efforts. If we are not unsatisfied and unhappy, we can't improve. To achieve excellence, one must be perfectly unsatisfied. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your insights, sir. Though I should be moving ahead with the program, but I do have a question after listening to your valuable thoughts. The one thing which struck me was your inner voice should be above the law. And our modern education system, is it actually giving us the freedom to listen to our inner voice and be above the law? Or is it actually subduing it? I think we can have a discussion after the conference, so I'm just moving ahead. I could not stop myself from saying this. Moving ahead, we have Mr. G.S. Vijay Kumar, our guest of honor. Mr. Vijay Kumar studied finance at Bharatiya School of Management and Entrepreneurship Development, Bharatiya University, Coimbatore. He has 5 years academic excellence, which includes teaching, corporate finance, and management accounting in a deemed university. He also has 2 decades of industrial experience. He is an ISO qualified auditor and has made system improvements in ONGC. He has an experience as a finance person in LSTK projects of onshore engineering services of ONGC. And he's currently working in the corporate coordination group of ONGC. May I now request you, Sir Vijay Kumar Sirji, to please come and share your thoughts with us.
Thank you. It's my privilege to address this great conference on G20 and dynamics of 5G. Luckily, I am not in 2G or 3G. There was a lot of criticism over there. Thanks to ONGC as well as GL Bajaj Institute, Department of Management Studies, for giving me this opportunity on this stage. I just want to share the initiatives of ONGC in ESG, Environment, Social and Governance. ONGC is Maharatna company, national oil company, contributes 68% of India's oil and gas production. It's amongst top in CPSEs, Central Public Sector Enterprises, in terms of market capitalization and profit. When you come to environment, ONGC has developed 15 clean development mechanism project registered with UNFCCC with emission reduction of 2.2 million CERs reductions every year. Apart from that, ONGC Tripura Power Corporation, they have developed a captive gas-based power project because gas was excess in that, no customers were there. So that time management as well as Ministry of Petroleum, they have developed the project how we can utilize the gases, natural gases. So they have established ONGC Tripura Power Company, out of which 51% ONGC was holding. Their emission reductions, they have reduced 16 lakh CO2e per year. So that was the green initiatives done by ONGC. Apart from that, clean water preservation as well as water splitting technology as well as rainwater harvesting. Then that whatever that emissions through the productions we are making, they are making various plants for desalination of water as well as polluted the water through the way of production of oil and gas. So that way ONGC was installing in that. Then ONGC Energy Company, that ONGC Energy Company, they have developed some of the project that thermochemical water splitting technology, generating hydrogen for the green manner. And also we have geothermal technology in Ladakh as well as Cambay. ONGC registered various sewage treatment plant as well When it comes to ONGC responsibility, ONGC almost on an average 500 crores for the last 5 years. They are spending for the alleviation of poverty, clean drinking water, and also healthcare as well as education system, women empowerment, and preservation of heritage in the various parts of the India. It reaches to various people on pan-India basis. Every CSR projects are benchmark to UN SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. You know that 17 Sustainable Development Goals are there. The company was contributed 300 million to PM Care Fund, additionally spent 200 million, out of which 2.2 millions of people benefited during COVID period. This year we are targeting 600 crores. As per Company Act 2013, every PSUs has to spend 2% of their net profit. So this is our initiative. All the funds have been excess utilized, and also we are pioneer in the CSR spending PSUs. When it comes to governance and ethics, ONGC strongly committed for the integration of corporate governance by the way of adopting various governance practices. The Board of Management and MOPNG stressed upon the same and monitors the same. We are most gender diversified Maharashtra company. 3 women board of directors are there. We have well documented code of conduct for senior management and board members, CDA rules for the entire workforce to promote the confidence of the stakeholders of the company. It has followed strong business ethics, frameworks and policies including whistleblower policy as well as information security policy. We used to have conduct of regular audits conducted by Controller of Auditor General, DGMS, OASD. It's a part of MOPNG organization. So we used to follow all the procedures and policies. We have nil report in the audit point of view. And also it also promotes small, micro and medium enterprises. It promotes all the vendors for bidding the same in the ONGC process. So whatever the guidelines given by the Government of India, that we are following that. Apart from that, these are the company point of view taking various initiatives. As an individual, as a student, what we can take. Please read the 17 goals. Starts with alleviation of poverty and ends with peace and harmony of the human being. So you can go through that. How, in what way as an individual or as a student, we can contribute to the society by the way of saving environment and save the environment for the future generations. For example, save water, less use of plastics, and use of public transport system. For instance, we can go for cycling and all. Small things, use not use vehicle and others. Then food wastage. I can see that in India, normally the people are wasting the foods. So if you go to Japan and all, if you are wasting the food, they will charge you double the cost of the food. So that way, we have to imbibe disciplinary things, or we have to imbibe the good practices to save the environment. I was also sitting like you in the back benches. I used not come to front stage. Now I am at the stage with the help of Professor Kanya sir and as well as ONGC management. They have given me the opportunity. Thank you so much. And one more advice I just want to give you. Please have courage and confidence, as well as you have to imbibe that. Read more. So whatever the challenge is given to you, you have to finish that, or you have to take it as a challenge and do that. So read and read more, good books, read good books, and watch good movies and listen good things. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, sir. I think the last line, everybody will agree to it. They will watch more movies, they will watch, and they are going to definitely read good books. May I now introduce Dr. Charan Singh, our next guest of honor. Dr. Charan Singh is the CEO and founder director, eGrow Foundation. His expertise is monetary policy and banking, international trade, and economic reforms. He is also the non-executive chairman of Punjab and Sindh Bank. Earlier, he was with the RBI, chair professor of economics at the prestigious IIM Bangalore, senior economist at the IMF, Washington, D.C., and research director, economic policy, debt management at the RBI. Among other positions, Dr. Singh served on the board of NHB and NABFINS. Dr. Singh has authored 2 books. Dr. Singh completed MPhil in Applied Economics from JNU Delhi and PhD in Economics from the University of New South Wales, Sydney in 1997. He followed it up with the postdoctoral studies at Department of Economics, Harvard University from August 2003 to August 2004 and SCID from Stanford University in 2006. Actually, we all dream of going either to Harvard, either getting a degree from Harvard or from Stanford. And we have a living example who has got degrees from both the universities. So huge round of applause for him. And may I now invite him to please come over and share his valuable insights with us.
Good morning. I want to thank at the outset Professor Kanhaiya who gave me this opportunity to be with all of you and share some thoughts with all of you on this important topic of G20. I'm really honored and privileged that the country has offered me these great opportunities. As she was mentioning, being trained at Harvard and Stanford for 3 years. And in a way, I always feel obligated that I have to serve the country by giving back as much as possible. I'm also being honored and I think a great privilege to chair a public sector bank, Punjab and Sindh Bank, which has 1,500 branches and 1,200 ATMs. So the country gives you opportunities and country also rewards you if you are able to rise to the occasion and willing to serve the nation. So I really feel obligated. The theme that you have chosen today is an extremely important theme under the G20. And I think, and forgive me for being so proud about it, but I think it's a great occasion for the world to know what India is. And especially after a decade that we lost because of the Lehman Brothers. This is a school of management and intellectual place. You should read what happened with Lehman Brothers and the subprime crisis, and then what happened in COVID, and how India today, despite the challenges of the global financial crisis and the once-in-a-century pandemic, arose to the occasion and established growth rates which are unchallenged and the highest in the world. This is what India is. And G20 is an occasion for us to tell the world, you have an alternate growth model which you need to consider. And I will deliberate on that in a few minutes. I want to thank the University GL Bajaj for having chosen this topic and the concept of 5G which they have brought to the fore. The concept is a beautiful concept in talking about governance leadership, growth management, global entrepreneurship, green investment, and good practices. The professor has already given us the theme and explained to us what this theme actually means. And the importance of this team. At this point of time, our Prime Minister, a visionary, a trained public policy expert, having worked at the state and the center, has given a theme which I think is a very unifying theme. The theme is one earth, one family, and one future. If you think deep about it, this takes into account each one of us, each country, each living member on the planet. And if you hear the speeches of our Prime Minister, where he speaks about one family, his vision is not just a human family. He talks about the complete ecosystem. He talks about plants, he talks about animals, he talks about the basic elements of air, water and earth. And that is, I think, the vision that one family and one future for our planet is important. What are we grappling with now at this point? Let me just share 3 thoughts, and then I want to talk to you a little bit more in depth about the India's alternate growth strategy, which the world needs to ponder now, because we have reached a brink where there is no going back. And I'm very happy that the Bajaj Institute has done this international conference to discuss these topics. Also very happy to see that there are representatives from our neighboring countries, especially from Nepal. The 3 things which the world is struggling with at this point is, one is urbanization, and along with urbanization, there are huge costs that are involved. Cities do generate, in any country, significant amount of gross domestic product, but unplanned and rapid urbanization constrain the economic potential. To sustain their economic potential, cities need to become more livable through upgraded infrastructure and services such as reliable water, transport, power, waste management, and affordable housing. In India, we have been talking about sustainable cities, and who else can talk about it? We have Kurukshetra, we have Ayodhya, we have Mathura, which are thousands of years old. Which other country can claim that credit? Huge amount of expenditure is required in maintaining a sustainable city and converting a city into a smart city. There are estimates that globally nearly $5.5 trillion are required to be invested in urban infrastructure annually over the next 15 years. The private sector has to play an important role in this. The second issue is energy transition. As we have seen in the past, fossil oils have their limits, and the combustible engines based on the fossil oils leave a carbon footprint. And that is why India is playing a very important role in this very aspect. The renewable sources of energy, which the Prime Minister has been emphasizing, especially the solar energy, which this country is bestowed and blessed with, and the research in the solar cells is becoming extremely important. The wind energy, of course, is also being harnessed. The third agenda relates to healthcare. And in this, the last pandemic has established India's pivotal role, the leadership role that India has shown, keeping in mind the one family concept. While the vaccines in advanced countries like the USA were cornered and stored multiple times of the size of their population, India was one country, despite such a large population, willing to share its vaccines with the rest of the world. The Prime Minister not just speaks about one family, one planet, he practices it and demonstrates it. India has established that within a very short time, its pharmaceutical industry can rise to the occasion and provide resources much needed for the rest of the world. Now let me shift and talk for the next 5 minutes, as I would conclude after that, about the India's growth model. The ancient India's growth model, which is not very ancient, needs to be discussed and shared. This growth model of India was sustained for thousands of years. Recorded history of 5,000 years. Out of that, we were the richest country on the planet for 3,000 years. You know, America today accounts for 20% of world GDP. We accounted for 33% of world GDP for 1,000 years, and for the remaining 2,000 years, our share of global GDP ranged between 33% and 20%. Now you can imagine, we were the richest for 3,000 years, and this richness that we had did neither come from plundering any country or colonizing any country. It was by sheer dint of hard work, dedication, ethics that we had with us. And this we have demonstrated in the last 75 years, when the British left us with 90% poverty in the country and only 10% literacy level. In 75 years we have bounced back, and today India can proudly say, no computer in the world, no airline in the world can operate without an Indian mind. That is the sheer dint of hard work that we demonstrated in becoming the richest country on the planet and sustaining that richness for 3,000 years. We were the golden sparrow. People would take huge amount of risk and come searching for India, and wherever they would find a little rich landmass, they would think this is India. But finding real India was the aim of people from other parts of the world. During those 3,000 years, we had public finance, we had a fiscal policy, we had our own taxation policy, we knew how to do expenditure management. We were experts in international trade, both sea trade because we had a long sea route, and the land trade because we had lots of borders, land borders, which we continue even today. We had education, we had industry, we had tools, we had invented the wheel, we had metallurgy. There are poles and pillars today which are thousands of years standing against all climatic challenges, and we had money supply. We knew the basics of economics and we used it to the best of our abilities. Even today, the longest epics ever written in human history are Ramayana and Mahabharata, which belong to India. This is our heritage, and this heritage shows while economic prosperity was there were intellectual prosperity too. We used to live 100 years or more, and the medical system that we had was Ayurveda, which even today is considered the last resort when modern medicine can't find treatment for an ailment. What was behind all this? That we dominated the world for 3,000 years. England, despite its history of colonizing, could not dominate the world for more than 300 years. America, with its dollar power and the petrodollars, could not dominate the world for more than 100 years. What is that India had? What is the problem in the modern economic theory? That in about 300 to 400 years, the world has come to the brink of a climate crisis. The glaciers are melting, the water level in the ocean is rising, cities may submerge. And what is that in India's growth model that we sustained for thousands of years without impacting anything globally? I think that is where the Prime Minister laid the emphasis on. One planet, one family, one future. The Indian thinking, as Professor from Griffith just mentioned, emphasized the inner voice, not the profit voice, not exploitation, not enrichment against others. No. The Indian philosophy was ethical and therefore sustainable. That is why the richness came from the hard work and not from colonizing others. That is what we need to emphasize. And if you look at the Indian model, as I've mentioned, it encompasses all the 5 Gs that the conference is about. I hope in the deliberations that you have, you will think about the Indian model and talk to the Indian professors and ask them, and they would know what the Indian strategy of sustainable growth is. To conclude, I want to share an example with you which I had at the IMF in Washington. The story is about 2009. I was doing research on international reserves. I had to interview people from the Middle East. And I went and spoke to them, and the point that they made to me was very different from modern theory of economic growth. We in modern times talk of sustainability in terms of one generation, or we talk of sustainability at the maximum of 2 generations. And here is the person from an oil producing country who told me that the oil under the soil is there because of the last 10 generations. And this oil, which may sell for $140 a barrel or $10 a barrel, this oil belongs to next 100 generations of my country. Who am I to extract the oil just to meet the requirement of this American or European or British politicians? My oil belongs to past generations. The wealth that this oil is belongs to the future generations. That concept of sustainability, which is intergenerational, we have to think and plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. In the beginning of the speech, I had mentioned that Mr. Narendra Modi ji, our Honorable Prime Minister, is a living example of the 5 Gs. And I'm sure Dr. Charan Singh ji has reiterated this with many examples. So thank you so much for making us feel very proud. And we stand tall and proud as Indians. Thank you, sir. Moving on, let me introduce you to Professor Vipin Gupta. Unfortunately, he is not here with us today, but he will be sharing his video message with us. Professor Vipin Gupta is a professor of management and co-director of the Center for Global Management at the Jack H. Brown College of Business and Public Administration, California State University, San Bernardino, USA. Professor Gupta has authored more than 180 journal articles and book chapters, including leading journals such as Journal of Business Mentoring, Family Business Review, Research in Organizational Behavior, Asia Pacific Journal of Management, Multinational Business Review, Journal of World Business, Advances in Global Leadership, and Management Review. Professor Vipin is a new age author. He has a unique level of clarity about reality. He's a master of manifesting the truth beyond what is apparent, phenomenal, and logically. He's on a quest to discover the metaphysics of physical sciences and illuminate the dynamics transcending the limits of known reality. A very interesting personality. Let's now orient ourselves towards the screen and let's play the video message he has for us.
As the conference general chair, it is my privilege to extend warm greetings and welcome to the distinguished guests and dignitaries, members of the organizing committee, the scientific committee, the advisory committee, the participants from all over India and indeed across the world, and students who are attending this international conference on multidisciplinary concepts in management. This extraordinary conference is the result of a collaborative endeavor between the globally ranked J. H. Brown College of Business and Public Administration at California State University, San Bernardino, and the esteemed G.L. Bajaj Institute of Technology and Management. Together, we embark on a remarkable journey to explore the captivating theme of G20 and dynamics of 5G, governance and leadership, growth management, global entrepreneurship, green investment, and good practices, opportunities and challenges for the Indian context. I would like to acknowledge my long-term friendship with the conference convener, Professor Kanhaiya Singh, and the conference chair, Professor Vikas Tripathi, and congratulate them for meticulously planning and orchestrating this momentous conference. The importance of delving into the pivotal realms of governance, leadership, growth management, entrepreneurship, and sustainable practices cannot be overstated. Let me share some insights about these 5 realms based on my ongoing research on metaphysical foundations of the wisdom of India and modern sciences, details of which you may find on my website www.vipingupta.net, and in 14 books I have self-published on Amazon and Flipkart for the past 3 years. First, leadership is a service that makes workforce independent by questioning the wisdom whose base is without oneself. When we question the wisdom transmitted across generations and cultures, the answers opens up new dimensions. If we are passive consumers of wisdom, our role is limited to that of a postman who transmits the information from one person to another without knowing its value. There are many examples in Indian wisdom that attest to this. Once, the common wisdom was to worship Indra, the king of deities and the lord of rains, seeking normal rains so that the farmers could get good harvest. Shri Krishna questioned this wisdom and illuminated the significance of mountains in rains. Observing this, Indra took on the role of devil and tried to flood the lands. However, the mountains channeled the heavy rain, an apparent curse transformed into a blessing. Leadership is connected with governance. Governance is the natural adaptation to the dynamics of the present development that is meaningful to live life for immersive experience of the time consciousness, which operates as an ontological or original element. Every moment of time within our consciousness is original. However, instead of experiencing each moment holistically, we carry the baggage of the past through its illusory production, that is Maya, in diverse forms. Instead of acclimatizing our mind to the present, we culture our intellect to the past and transmit that inheritance to the future, leading to a consciousness void. We forget the reason for our behaviors in the present and make those behaviors a habit through their reproduction until the cost becomes disproportionate and benefits decay. Examples of reinventing governance abound in today's India and need to be naturally adapted across domains. Every region, city, and village in India has its own handicrafts, traditions, and skills, designs of which are unique but have become commodified as the entire region, cities, and villages reproduce the same over many generations. Many designers are working towards reviving, restoring, celebrating, and marketing these handicrafts by aligning them with the contemporary trends, fashions, and imperatives. Second, growth management is a time derivative. It skews the past derivative, the jerk, from the future derivative for fractal correction in the kurtosis of the present derivative. To skew the growth force derived from the past requires synchronizing out-of-sync permanence of soul programming, which is pleasantly liberating because it's autonomous and transcendental, with a vision that destroys the baggage of social effect. The soul is programmed with a variety of social effects of the past. The jerk is derived from the future as a flash of restlessness that communicates the hurry to research and initiate conscious death of the present's after effect. Whatever we do in the present becomes a habit for us to continue that in future as well, and that's the after effect. The present derivative is layered as kurtosis, which is a reproductive average of the diverse past moments. Reproductive average is delivered as a capacity with I consciousness. For instance, I can do X but not Y. What is delivered as capacity limits development because it voids the consciousness of the deliverable capability. There's a gap between capability and capacity because we are reproducing the baggage from the past. The reproductive average, there's a kurtosis, you are bringing into the present. Managing growth by producing a new vision is the hallmark of New India. When you focus on new vision, we stop reproducing the variety of past movements and start creating a new movement, desirable movement. There was a time when the United States and Soviet Unions were the front runners, in fact the only runners in the race of space exploration. The thought of just inventing space technology was far-fetched and nearly impossible. Vikram Sarabhai changed that with the vision of forming the Indian National Committee for Space Research in 1962, and the rest is history. Third, global entrepreneurship demands a diverse approach for universalization of a new universe guided by a continuous path of infinite development. The continuous path is unfolded by the rapid mental calculus, the ecosystem value, like an anomaly, like a mystery presentation without me using a shocking perturbation as an artifact of trauma program. If I am already prepared and acclimatized to living according to the vision, in that case, I am not going to introduce my trauma to limit the behaviors and the continuous path. One must rise above the inertia of localism, bounded by the personal effect. The new India is constantly opening up to the innovative and creative linkages, eschewing false synthesis with the cost-escalating baggage from the past. The focus is on discontinuity of the effect, continuity of the path, and the infinity of the cause. By understanding the entire spectrum of causes related to the epistemological benefits of manifesting a vision, it becomes possible to persist with the envisioned path of growth management until dynamic governance becomes a essential condition of the work culture. In the past, the cost of credit offered to the lower income groups was very high, and the enterprises funded by macrofinance remained micro-enterprises, unable to scale up because of localism of the sourcing, operating, and marketing linkages of the small enterprises, micro-enterprises, rural enterprises, and women-run enterprises in India, like everywhere else in the world. By catalyzing globalization of such linkages, Bandhan Bank has rapidly emerged as a major player in successfully scaling up micro and small enterprises in the villages and towns all over India. Most of these enterprises are women-run. Evidence shows that in geographies where Bandhan Bank operates, entrepreneurship has become global, unique, diverse, inclusive, engaged, and responsible. The average cost of credit has fallen significantly, and the amount of credit per account has risen without deterioration in credit quality. Fourth, green investment is a starting point for lifelong coherence of a situational path of creating the ecosystem consciousness. It is an engine that awakens natural force within human force. Investment is green when it is pure. That is, when it is reproduction of what one is trading as a trader. When one is an illusionary creator, investor of non-tradable value, there is an increasing trade-off of natural factor with a supernatural factor. Illusionary creator becomes omnipotent, but destroys the continuous path of infinite development. The future of one who is present as omnipotent is zero, a leader with no follower. All the great kingdoms of the past have fallen to ashes. On the other hand, grassroots India is alive and vibrant with a new India that is soaring in the skies. Strategic awareness of the endowments gifted by Mother Nature is critical for tactful adaptation of techniques and technologies to the local and emerging conditions. Fifth, good practices are oxygen, creating a profound consciousness of the blissful self. Good practices strengthen the fertilization of the intrinsic element through leader-follower exchange. They reproduce temporal togetherness of the leader and the follower, so that the leader is following the follower, who is devoted continuously to the path for fulfilling an infinity of causes with discontinuous effects. Similarly, The follower is leading the leader to the path of devotion to a goal that perpetuates those discontinuous effects without dependence on the follower. To summarize, the conference theme beautifully encapsulates the myriad opportunities and challenges that lie before us, anchored in governance and leadership, growth management, global entrepreneurship, green investment, and good practices. I wholeheartedly commend all of you for your unwavering dedication and resolute commitment to the advancement of knowledge in the realm of multidisciplinary mind concepts. I am certain that the academic deliberations, expert opinions, and professional expertise shared throughout this two-day conference will bestow upon us invaluable insights and recommendations. May this conference serve as a platform for forging meaningful collaborations, igniting thought-provoking discussions, and nurturing the birth of transformative ideas that not only uphold India's aspirations, but also contribute to global progress. Wishing each and every one of you a profoundly fruitful and incredibly memorable conference.
Thank you for sharing the message from across, and I'm sure next time it will be in person, and we'll be looking forward to welcome him in person next time. Moving ahead, we have our chief guest, Shri S.N. Tripathi ji. Let me give a brief introduction about him. Shri Surendranath Tripathi ji is an IAS officer. He's a retired IAS officer from 1985 Bajaj, Odisha cadre, and MA in Political Science from Allahabad University and MBA in Public Policy from Slovenia. Shri Tripathi is a highly seasoned civil servant with a true academic flavor. He took over the charge of Director General IIPA in April 2019 while he was still holding the charge of Secretary Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Government of India. Since he was the chief guest for today, I just went through his Twitter account and I was very impressed by the heading he had. He said you have to avoid 3 S, that is sugar, supper and snacks. And he also said that retweeting this message is not an endorsement. So I was very impressed because an officer, retired IAS officer and holding a very high position, Director General in IIPA, one has to manage oneself and then you can manage the public and people very well. So I was very impressed, sir. May I now call upon sir to please give a brief.
Good afternoon, friends. Good afternoon, sir. If you want to belittle the size of the chief guest, give such a good introduction that he feels suppressed. An attempt has been made even today also. But let me assure you, I will tell what I need to tell. Respected guest on the dais, Manasji, Vikasji and rest of them, dear friends and makers of future India, dear students, it gives me immense pleasure in being with you. As an old man, meeting young mind is my passion. And what else can be a place which is the best institute of Northern India, and meeting at a place at a time when we are discussing G20 agenda, and you have yourself set a 5G agenda. When I was studying, only one G was very popular. We used to call it Jija G. But when I retired, we have got 5G. The 5G is not for speed and connectivity. 5G is also about thinking about yourself. That G factor in you, the gravity in you, the greatness in you, and all that is great within you. Professor Singh just mentioned, and I would not like to repeat it, but I will certainly say, जिस कौम को मिटने का एहसास नहीं होता, जिस कौम को मिटने का एहसास नहीं होता, उस कौम का दुनिया में इतिहास नहीं। Engineering student also must learn history to know why we are where we are. If we don't understand history, we might be committing mistake of either not learning out of it or condemned to repeat. India has repeated it many times. If you want to make a child stunted, don't give him enough nutrition. Very easy. Don't give him or her enough nutrition and keep on telling him or her that तुझसे कुछ ना हो पाए. You are incapable of anything. Deprive him of adequate nutrition and every day give him messaging that you are incapable. And that your salvation lies in, without reading the prescription, consuming the medicine. And not even giving the medicine, only giving prescription after prescription. Tarikh pe tarikh. Prescription to prescription. India, as Dr. Singh told, having control over world GDP, we are now contributing highest to the poverty ratio of the world. In 1947. We were contributing highest to the early childhood mortality, under 5, under 1, under any category. You take up any social indicator or social indices, India was leading the world from the bottom. That was 1G when we got our independence. If you take up 5 decades of development of India or 7 decades of independence of India, because we are also in the 76th year of our independence, very few countries in the world have changed their fate in 6 or 7 decades. Only one example comes before us which has done less than that, and that is South Korea. Anyone who understands economics will know that what South Korea was in 1949 or even till 51 when Korean War happened, and how much they have developed so far, that you go anywhere in the world you will find Korean model, be it Samsung, be it LG, be it Hyundai. They replaced Japan, who were famous for technology, because Koreans decided that unless we produce something better than Japan, we will not use the car itself. Unless we can do better than our neighbors, we will not be using that product. And today Korea is what Korea is. In fact, they are Asian tigers. For the first time, I was very happy when Economist in March 5 edition put India on the map and have a picture of tiger. I don't know how many of you have noticed it. सुना तो यहाँ लोग पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, इकोनॉमिक्स भी पढ़ते होंगे और पढ़ना भी चाहिए. How you see world looks at you. The smartest people in the world are Americans. They set agenda for the globe, which was done by India a few decades or few centuries earlier. Because whole of Europeans went to find out India. They never went to find out America. Columbus did not leave his home place to find out even UK or any other country. They went to find out what country? India. Today, which country is the chairman of G20? Which country has a billion plus population? Which has 25% of the world talent pool, and we are going to be factory of the world in manufacturing human being, which will control this planet by 2070 only. This is the vision of India that our Prime Minister has seen. This is the vision that we should work on, and that is the vision of good governance. One theme, G1. What is good governance? The Prime Minister says that minimum government, maximum. Any one of you heard it? I believe in interactive, I don't believe in monologue. Minimum government and maximum governance. Anyone have heard it? Minimum government means government should not be the default option for any public service delivery. Rather, government should be a facilitator. That is what government is doing. In 47, we were doing everything for you. What you will think, where you will go, what you will do, how you will do, what you will buy, what you will produce, how much you will produce. Even a Bajaj scooter company, I am reminded of Bajaj because you are sitting in the GL Bajaj Institute. Hamara Bajaj, even Bajaj company was not allowed to produce more than X number of scooter without permission of the government. And the result was that we had one scooter, we had one car, we had one IIT, we had one AIMS, and we have one great institution. Of course, Allahabad University was one of them. Where I studied, therefore we all become great. Today we have 1,047 universities in this small land. 40,000 colleges, 23 IIMs, more than 2 dozen IIMs and IITs, and many institutions like you dotting the every part of India. India of today is the future of tomorrow of the globe. We are producing the most trained human manpower. Don't be get discouraged that Indians are not employable. Had Indians been not employable, who could have managed Google and Microsoft? Who could have managed the IMF and World Bank? Who could have managed the great factories of the world? We recently became fifth economy by displacing whom? UK. We not only displaced them, we gave them a prime minister to manage their economy. That is the pride of India. That is what you are, ladies and gentlemen, sitting in front of me. I don't know who will become prime minister of another country today or tomorrow, but some of you will become. It is this hope that we have to sell. We are merchant of hopes. हम सपनों के सौदागर हैं. We are not merchant of Venice, where we will teach exploitation. That is what good education institutions should do and teach. I always believe that don't teach them how to make 2 plus 2 into how much? 2 plus 2 is equal to how much? 2 plus 2 is equal to 22. If you ask a math teacher, he or she will tell 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. If you ask an accountant, what is 2 plus 2 is equal to, he will say it depends upon which accounting system you follow. It depends upon whether 2 plus 2 is either asset side or liability side or how you go for it. If you have the same 2 plus 2 to an advocate, he will say, hold on, let me talk to my client, what you want me to prove. Friends, facts are the same. How you interpret depends upon your intellect. Even an idiot can have facts. All facts are available in your computer. Don't get misguided by the facts or data. People say that data analytics, data this, data that. I am not a student of political. I am not a student of science. Very little science I also have, because political science also has a little bit of science. But that little bit of science does not make you wiser. More data has not made anybody wiser unless you have the capability to derive, to understand pattern out of it. I always say that even an idiot can have a data, but it's very difficult to have an opinion. A good teacher tells you how to make opinion out of that. I am told that this institution, with persons like Manas, who is also from Orissa, and I have served in Orissa, and Vikas ji, whose Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is taken into the Prime Minister's messaging, and many more who are sitting on the dais both with me and in front of me, they all are building this thinking mindset among the students of this institution. Friends, I am one of those who believe that for me 5G means think differently, solve differently, communicate differently, collaborate differently, lead differently. If you are compliant of these 5 Gs, no power on earth can stop you from becoming what you want to become or what you are destined to become. No power on earth can stop you from fulfilling your dreams so that your parents can become proud of you. that you have also gone through GL Bajaj Institute and you are worth it. But first find out your worth within yourself. Don't feel that you are incapable of doing anything. Just do it is not a Nokia slogan. Any one of us can do it. Half of the battle is done, half of the battle is won. Once your attitude is to help to get it done. I don't know how many of you have been taught as a student of management, amantram aksharam nasti. किसी ने सुना है कभी? If you have not heard it, Google it out and read it carefully. This synopsis of management is there. ऐसा कोई अक्षर नहीं है जिसकी उपयोगिता किसी मंत्र में ना हो. अमंत्रम अक्षरम नास्ति, नास्त मूलम औषधि. ऐसी कोई वनस्पति नहीं जिसका कोई मेडिसिनल वैल्यू नहीं है. अयोजका पुरुषो नास्ति. किसी काम का, फालतू का, यूजलेस का कोई मनुष्य नहीं है. बट योजक तत्व दुर्लभ. हाउ टू एक्सप्लॉयट द पोटेंशियल ऑफ वन पर्सन, ऐसे योजक, ऐसे मैनेजर दुर्लभ हैं. दे आर नॉट अवेलेबल. दैट्स व्हाई मैनेजमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशन जॉब इज to produce that manager who will use every resource given to him or her. We always keep on crying, हमारा डायरेक्टर ठीक नहीं है, हमारे टीचर ठीक नहीं है, हमारे स्कूल में एसी ठीक नहीं चलता है, हमारा बाथरूम ठीक नहीं चलता है. लोग पेड़ों के नीचे पढ़कर, चाणक्य के पास पढ़कर भी लोग महान बने हैं, और एयर कंडीशन स्कूलों में पढ़कर के भी लोग फेल होते हैं. It is you, when you decide to become great, you become great. It is you who are responsible for what you are, nobody else. There is expiry date for blaming your parent. There is expiry date for blaming your teacher, because once you get certificate, teacher doesn't look at you, go to hell. He is bothered about the next batch, because they have paid the fee at the latest rate. Your expiry is over. But friends, you don't have expiry date till you are 100 or you are dead. You have to invest in yourself. That's why I said 1G will be important even if you go to 20G. And that 1G is you. You are the face of this earth. There is none better than you in this world. You are only one piece in this world. Do not compare with anyone. I cannot improve my height by measuring it by any method of science. Nor any measure of science can reduce me. Professor Gupta was talking about standardization and measurements. I don't believe in standardization of human being. Yes, product I can understand. There is standardization that Asians are performing like this. Asians are tigers. Indians are tigers. Only thing they have to be rekindled the hope among themselves that we can do it. And we shall do it. What is the 5G that you have asked me to talk? Good governance to growth. I told you good governance means and includes minimum government and maximum government. What does it mean? It means सरकार का अभाव भी हो, government should not be present everywhere. सरकार का प्रभाव भी हो, government should be present wherever it is necessary. And सरकार का प्रभाव भी हो, so that your value of passport is respected globally. That is what government is doing. Good governance for the day means you are valued inside, you are valued outside, and your value proposition is your net worth. We don't believe in knowledge of certification. We believe that skill is good enough. And 1G is good governance. Second is growth you are talking. What does growth means? We have overheard the importance of GDP being calculated by PPP. This is a very good principle, but now PPP per capita and happiness index of per capita also need to be factored. We have seen that modern industrial economy is improving the PPP parity, even 3.7 trillion or maybe we might become 5 trillion or 10 trillion, but it will not remove the face of poverty from this earth unless the growth becomes inclusive, and inclusive becomes the mantra of the growth, not vice versa. We have heard it for 75 years that trickle down works. Trickle down doesn't work. You have to become rich for yourself. Nobody's richness will be distributed to you. He might establish a college, he might establish an airline, he might fail, he might send his kids to Stanford, even if, nobody fails in Harvard, everybody has paid good fee. I don't know why nobody fails there. The day fee is reduced, they are given selection on UPSC model, I think people will start failing there also. I'm not against any of these great institutions, but our institutions are greater than any one of them because we have got a fertile mind. It is mind that will make 21st century, not the manufacturing or any other process. So what is that basic raw material of that knowledge economy? It is you, friends. So growth has to be inclusive. Growth has to be sarvavyapi, sarvagrahi, and sarvamangal mangalya ki bhavna se yukt. It should not be only typical economic growth. Manufacturing has made rich richer. It has not trickled down to everybody. Even trickle down has not gone in government schemes also. When I was collector Sambalpur, I used to get 100 houses. I had to find out 100 houses very easily. There are 1,000 claimants. How to select first 100? 10 for this MLA, 5 for that MP, 3 for this collector, 2 for this, and 1 for myself also because I am also collector. IAS बन गया हूँ, कुछ तो कर सकता हूँ. Radhe, Radhe, Adhe, Adhe. And people were not getting benefit even what they deserve. Today's growth is inclusive. We don't believe in trickle down. We believe in waterfall. Let 100% benefit of the government go to the account of the beneficiary through DBT. This is waterfall, friends. This is not trickle down. This is the new government, new age government, what we are having now, and we should be proud of it. So governance that is inclusive, sabka vikas. What other 3 are there? Sabka vikas. I think Vikas is present here, so you remember him. What are the other 3? Anybody has heard it? There is a saying, somebody says sabka prayas. What does it mean? Sabka prayas means emphasis on duty which was added in 42nd Amendment to the Constitution of India. Sabka prayas means Rajpath becoming Kartavya Path which has been changed recently. Sabka prayas means that nobody wait for somebody else to take out a fallen tree in a drinking water source. Everybody start doing his bit or her bit. That's what Vedanta says. Focus on Kartavya, don't focus on right. We have focused on the past decade on right to work, right to food, right to this, right to that, right to job, right to employment, right to a good husband, right to a good wife. It cannot be ensured by any government. If you want to become a good husband, you should have to become a good husband. It does not depend upon right. No government can ensure it. But yes, we all can become a good husband, good father, good student, and good teacher. It is teacher who make what we are, not you and I. Therefore, if sabka prayas hai, that is what means Jan Bhagidari. Government means that everybody should be a partner in this development process. We are not one man dictator or one party government where one person decides, one person operates, the rest of the world cooperates. We are a government of democracy where we have changed government 17 times at the central level. 28 states, every 5 years we change the government, subject to renewal also. Today we have got 4.2 million elected representatives, right from ward member to parliament. It is that we mean Jan Bhagidari, which is the biggest democracy anywhere in the world. Even American president is not directly elected. He is elected through 3-tier process. First primary, then this, then that. We are directly answerable government. What else could be sabka prayas? And people say that you have lacked your democratic indexes, you are at rank this. I don't know what is their index. I don't know who has measured them, and I don't know who has prepared them. Sawan ke ande ko samay hara hara hi. Let's not be measured by those who measured us for last 75 years, who ruled us for last 200 years, who stunted us intellectually, physically, manufacturing-wise, service-wise, and who made us that you are worth nothing. I will send you Macaulay system, I will send you English. If you cannot speak in good English, you are a useless person. And a good Tamil is leading the world. A good Andhraite is leading Microsoft. a good Sardarji leading World Bank, IMF. What more you require? Knowledge is not language, friends. Language is only a skill. It's like any other skill. Typing is a skill, English is also a skill. What is that? How you envision yourself. So सबका साथ, सबका प्रयास, सबका विकास एक और है. सबका विश्वास. Friends, trust matters. Some of you are students of management, you know that you rely too much on balance sheet. You rely too much on compliances. Enron was complying everything and its balance sheet was the best. But what happened? Lehman brothers are out of picture. In fact, Lehman sisters are being looked into. Where these brothers and sisters have gone? India did not do anything like that. In fact, 3-4 fellows who have looted India have gone abroad. We are bringing them back to make them face justice. This is what is known as sabka trust, sabka vishwas. Limited purpose for today's purpose is only one. Unless we rekindle that 5 things that I was interested in telling you, think different. How does think differently mean? We have been accustomed to think in a particular way. We are getting thinking from those who developed their economy using slave labor. Can they give us ideas how to think differently? We are getting ideas from those economies who manage their economy by looting their colonies. Can they give a better idea? Indians must think differently by relying on their past literature. I am not saying your past is your future, but learn from the past so that you can unlearn the present and make a better future by relearning. Nobody's past is his future or her future. You can always make your future different. Therefore, think differently. Second is solve. You should have solution mindset, not problem identification. Everywhere you go, every teacher has a problem, you go to a director. Sir, ये problem है क्या करूँ? And you should come with a solution, director will welcome you. If any problem that any teacher has found out and goes to the director and he does not come with a solution, that means that teacher or that person himself is the problem. There is no problem in this world which does not have a solution if you think through differently. So think differently, have solution mindset, and have capacity to communicate. If you can't communicate, your thinking through, your solving problem gives you a negative return. Even if you speak truth, you have to speak gently. मैं कहता हूँ अगर आपको झूठ बोलना है तो आपको पावर पॉइंट, आपको डायरी, आपको कलम सब लेके चलना पड़ेगा because you might be caught. बट अगर आपको सत्य बोलना है तो दिल से बोलो, बिंदास बोलो, nothing will happen. Same thing is true for communicate. If you can't communicate, most of the students are not able to communicate. They feel language barrier. They feel this barrier. They feel कुछ लोग बोले मैं तो शादीशुदा हूँ, मैं कैसे मुस्कुरा सकता? They nothing like this. They know such limitation. These are self-made limitations. That's what I said. Every student who is appearing for civil services examination, or you want to become Professor Charan Singh, or anyone who is sitting in front of us, do one thing every day. Do one thing, very small exercise I am suggesting you. I think you can do it right now. It is 10-second exercise. Do you have 10 seconds? Do I have 10 seconds? 10 seconds is available to all of you? So close your eyes for 10 seconds. Don't steal somebody's money, just close your eyes. Drop your mobile phone on the ground or keep it in your mobile. But 10 seconds is longer, only when I say you open your eyes. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. Second, 1, 2. You are sitting in front of a mirror. Look at the mirror. You are seeing yourself in the mirror. See yourself a smiling you. I am the happiest person in this world. There is none like me. I do not suffer from any infirmity under the sun. I will make Bharat a Viksit Bharat. Hold on, smile, keep on smiling. Now open your eyes. Open your eyes. Don't go to Dhyana Mudra because something more is to go. Feel this every day, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Don't feel inferiority complex. Never ever. I have never felt in my life. My mother is I cannot call her idiot, but she is illiterate. My father is 12th class. I was married at age 13. I have just celebrated my 50th marriage anniversary. I don't know anybody can become superior than me. But I am also standing in front of you nice. Don't become like me. Don't marry early. But you have already crossed that age. But you can still become like me and better than me if you have this faith that you are second to none. Therefore, communicate. Communicate to yourself first. Whatever you are going to present in the class, first communicate to yourself. Is it convincing? इसको सुन के उसको समझ में आएगा? इसको सुन के मैंने खुद समझा? अपना खुद का 1 मिनट का वीडियो रिकॉर्ड कर लीजिए, उसको खुद देखिए. What is there to improve upon? Can I make it better version? I always say that it is better to get up as an idiot, but it's third-rate thing to sleep as an idiot. During day 12 hours you must learn something so that next day you get up wiser. What is that theory? Improve on yourself. Invest in yourself. That's why I said communicate differently. Third thing or fourth thing is collaborate. In today's government, today's management, today's engineering, nobody can become a Steve Jobs or Joe Bezos or Tesla in one day or one person. All is teamwork. No one person can run any company anywhere in the world. In fact, you can't run your family alone. You can't enjoy your life alone. You can't produce a child alone. Of course, there are some techniques available. You can't become a father alone. You can't become a mother alone. You can become a sadhu sannyasi alone, but you are not here paying fee and working to GL Bajaj institution to become a sannyasi. You are here to become a successful entrepreneur, successful administrator, successful businessman, or whatever you become in your life. So collaborate. Learn how to collaborate. Learn how to talk to a stranger. Learn how to talk to a person unlike you. Learn how to talk, men and women talk with each other. Have that adult and mature attitude. हर लड़की हंसी इसका मतलब नहीं. मैं नहीं बोलूँ, आप भी लोग सोच रहे हैं, लेकिन जो आप सोच रहे हैं वो भी सही है. I always believe that. Have open mind when you communicate and collaborate. When you collaborate, you learn the tricks of the trade. Because whole of the life is nothing but negotiation with another person. Whole life. Whether your personal life, organizational life, managerial life, bureaucracy, managing anything, you are negotiating. Earlier we were negotiating better because there was asymmetry of information. Director always knew more than the professor. Professor always more knew than the children. Today ChatGPT ने सबका सत्यानाश कर दिया. Everybody knows the same thing, everybody goes to the same Google, everybody goes to the same bank, everybody goes to the same professor, and even if the professor is third rate, they have options. If college is third rate, people have options. And people are paying money, they want value for money. There is nothing wrong. But chasing value, chasing money, and losing your own self-value is not good. So learn to collaborate, because in collaboration you can make 2 plus 2 22. But if you don't learn to collaborate, it will only be 4, maybe 2.5. So think differently, solution mindset, communicate properly, collaborate differently, and only then you can become a good leader. Today people want to become leader by title. हमको डायरेक्टर बना दिया, I am now director. तो आपको औकात में रहना पड़ेगा. I am a professor, so rest of India has to behave like that. I am a chief secretary, everybody has to obey me. Those days are gone. India in 76 years is not colonial. Farsi, salam, dua, protest, those are gone. Today students want to talk to Biden as Biden. In America, nobody talks to Mr. and Mrs. Sir and this. They talk to your first person. यहाँ तो बोलते तो इज्जत चली जाए. बहू सास का नाम ले ले तो घर से निकाल देंगे. अरे कहाँ कुलक्षणी आ गई. स्टूडेंट अगर टीचर का नाम सही सही ले ले तो अरे कहाँ से बदमाश आ गया. He doesn't have manners. But friendship is not a manner. Being open is part of the manner. We were told to be suppressed. घूंघट की झंझट से मुक्त हो गए. हमको अपने ऊपर का जो घूंघट पड़ा हुआ है, जो गुलामी की दास्तां का वो घूंघट पड़ा हुआ है, that we are inferior race, we are inferior people, because we are poor, we can't think great. This मानसिकता must go. And management, engineering, they also should spread this message. Only then we can become a leader. What is the difference between a worker and manager? All of you know that you hire dai, you hire a home worker, you hire somebody to cook. That worker does all that he or she is told. You are not come here to this management institution to become a worker. What you want to become? At least a manager, isn't it? नहीं, वर्कर बनना चाहते हो. अगर वर्कर बनना चाहते हो तो मनरेगा में बहुत जगह खाली है. 6 करोड़ लोगों में एम्प्लॉयमेंट दिया जा रहा है. यहाँ 1800 लोग बैठे हुए हैं या 2000 बैठे हुए हैं. हर एक को 100 days का एम्प्लॉयमेंट गारंटी. A worker is one who does what he is told. A manager is not only knows how to do the work, but manager another couple of persons who are supposed to contribute to the same purpose. And a leader is one who thinks work how these rascals will be employed. Otherwise, these rascals will write petition against me. So leader's job is to see that workers are engaged, managers are engaged to manage these two rascals, and manager himself is engaged with a lot of MPR, return, HRMS, this and that, so that he will not revolt. But friends, age of worker, age of manager, age of leader has gone. This is the age of mentors. You should be the example, you should be setting the example so that people can learn from you. Leaders without title can't lead, but mentors without title can also lead. All of us remember some people who are greater than what they are. किसी की ज़िंदगी बदल दी होगी हाई स्कूल में, किसी की ज़िंदगी बदल दी होगी क्लास 1 में, किसी की ज़िंदगी बदल दी होगी when you were advised to get admission in GL Bajaj institution. All those great people who change your life, they are our mentors. Respect them. Talk to them. And remember them. When you feel happy that I am the happiest person, remember those mentors have made you what you are. I know this is not yoga class, this is not a spiritual class, this is not a class of Baba Ramdev, where I will teach you lessons of yoga. This is pure management, and management is a science. But science also has to find out some art of living, art of communicating, art of thinking, art of problem solving, art of communicating, art of collaborating. Only then art of living becomes ease of living. That's why we say good governance is all about promoting ease of living. Chanakya said, what is the aim of government? He says, aim of government is to spread happiness among its subjects. And what is the welfare? He says, Yogakshem Bhame. जिसमें जनता का कल्याण हो, वही सरकार है, वही सरकार सही सरकार है, वही सरकार गुड गवर्नमेंट है, वही गवर्नेंस गुड गवर्नेंस है, वही गवर्नेंस, वही विकास, वही इकोलॉजी, वही ग्रीन ग्रोथ, all those concepts that my teachers, professors and more learned people will tell you throughout the day. इसीलिए हम बोलते हैं, यही समय है, सही समय है, भारत का अनमोल समय है, आओ मिलकर एक नया भारत बनाएं, विकसित भारत बनाएं, गुलामी की दास्तां से मुक्त वाला भारत। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you for your motivational words, sir. There is a law in economics which says the law of diminishing marginal utility, which states that the more you consume of something, the less interested you become. But I think that law does not hold good for knowledge. The more knowledge you get, the more happier you get. So I would request, sir, to please come over to GL Bajaj again and again so that we are motivated, sir. We have a special guest with us, Dr. Ion Mercia Hinda. He is an Regional Finance Manager with the Canadian High Commission. In his role, he looks at the finances of embassies and consulates in South Asia, including India and Middle East. His past roles include 8 years of experience in audit and internal controls with Canadian government, as well as 4 years working in international organizations. A Harvard University graduate, he also holds professional designations as a CA Certified Internal Auditor and Certified Information System Auditor. Thank you for being with us, sir, today. I'm sure the insights shared by all our guests today have given us sufficient food for thought. It truly has been an inspiring morning. Thank you everyone once again for enriching us with your valuable thoughts. May I now request Director Sir to please present a token of gratitude to our chief guest, Shri S.N. Singh Ji. I would request the volunteers. Shri S.N. Singh Ji, our chief guest for the day. Thank you for motivating us, sir. May I now request Dean's Strategy, Dr. Shashank Awasthi Ji, to please present a token of gratitude to Dr. Rakesh Gupta from Griffith University. Dean Strategy, Dr. Shashank Awasthi Ji. Dr. Rakesh Gupta, thank you for being with us. Huge round of applause. I now request Dr. Kanhaiya Singh Ji to please present a memento to Mr. Eon Mircea Hinda from the High Commission of Canada. Thank you for being with us, sir. Would now request Dr. Arvindnath Sinha Ji to kindly present the memento to Mr. G.S. Vijay Kumar Ji. Dr. Arvind? All right. May I now request HOD, sir? He's here. All right. Dr. Sinha? I would now request HOD MBA, Dr. Vikas Tripathi Ji, to please present a memento to our guest of honor, Shri Charan Singh Ji. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Thank you, everyone. And may I now request the dignitaries for the souvenir release. A very prestigious moment indeed. So we can give a huge round of applause for the souvenir release and the success of the inaugural function. Thank you. May now call upon Dr. Kanhaiya Singh Ji to deliver the vote of thanks.
respected chief guest, and dignitaries of the dais. I came across a quote by Virgil Abloh that says, I quote, "When creativity melts together with global issues, I believe you can bring the world together." I again repeat, when creativity melts together with global issues, I believe you can bring the world together. Taking a note from here, the conference team was proposed that focused on dynamics of 5G in the context of G20 presidency honor to India in 2023. The theme was shared with California State University, and they suggested to fine-tune the sub-themes, considering that global leadership is all about empowering everyone to assume local leadership within their nations so that each can mutually help each other. And then theme were designed appropriately. We are more than fortunate to have Sri Tripathi sir, a seasoned administrator, to inaugurate this conference, whose thought-provoking address has inspired all of us to think and ponder over the issues with focused angles in our life, in our career, for the country as a whole. More importantly, a highly motivated message has been given by sir to all the emerging managers in this institute. And I think he has given more than many mantras of success in our life. I think this is the first time we are hearing such an inspiring, the motivational speech to the students from a dignitary. Sir, we are really thankful to you for having blessed all of us. Dr. Charan Singh sir has always been a source of inspiration to academic fraternity and so humble to accept our request despite his extremely tight engagements. I remember there is a saying that a busy man has time for everything, so is Dr. Charan Singh. Sir, I have no words to express my gratitude for such an insightful keynote that has really set a direction for 2-day deliberations. Dr. Rakesh Gupta has taken all the pains to come from Australia to grace the conference. His valuable guidance has facilitated to get a good number of research papers from foreign countries. We are really thankful, Dr. Rakesh. We extend our special thanks to Mr. Anand for having represented High Commissioner of Canada. He has much interest to join the presentations that shows his academic interest. Dr. Bipin Gupta is a part of this conference and nurtured us with his wisdom of knowledge from time to time. He has sent a very relevant message on this occasion. I thank him so much. Sri Vijay Kumar, DGM ONGC, has been very helpful in connecting us with ONGC, and he is here on behalf of ONGC. Sir, we thank you very much. The whole credit of this conference goes to visionary leadership and chief patron, Dr. Ramkishore Agarwal sir, chairman of GL Bajaj Group of Institutions, for bringing such a strong educational institutional framework, and our dynamic vice chairman, Sri Pankaj Agarwal ji, for supporting us all in the stages since the beginning, and we extend our special thanks to them. We are thankful to Professor Manas Mishra sir, Director GLB-ITM, who has been with us constantly, and his able guidance and active support resulted in making this conference a success in true sense. More importantly, we extend our thanks to California State University and American College, University of Delhi, for collaborating this conference. We extend our heartiest thanks to the representatives who are very much here from ONGC, IUCN, Bank of Maharashtra, and Harish Iron for their financial support. I am personally grateful to Sri Amitabh Ranjan, Registrar IIPA, for supporting us in this conference since the beginning at different stages. Thank you, sir. We are thankful to Dean Jack S. Brown College, California State University, Professor N.R. Bhanumurthy, Vice Chancellor, Beast University, Bangalore, Professor Devdutt Das, Vice Chancellor, Assam Rajiv Gandhi University of Property Management, Professor A.M. Agarwal, Vice Chancellor, United University, Professor S.B. Agarwal, Principal, American College, University of Delhi, for their messages and blessings. I can see our well-wishers here who have been kind enough to grace this occasion, and I extend my hearty thanks to all of them. We are thankful to all the deans, head of departments, colleagues from the other departments for having graced this occasion, especially to Dr. Avasti, Dr. Deepa ma'am and others. Thank you. We especially thank the representative of media who have been kind enough to be here. The success of the conference depends on the participants. There are good numbers of representatives, authors and friends from academic fraternity, many watching this conference online in different countries. In particular, I thank representatives of Nepal who have come all the way to grace this conference. We extend our thanks for their wholehearted cooperation in making this conference a success. The emerging business managers, all of you, the students of MBA program, have made this event live through their presence and also performing different roles. I extend my thanks to all of them. The team spirit is the essence of success of all events, and I am really thankful to all members of the department who have worked diligently to make this conference a memorable. I extend my special thanks to Mr. Naresh Kumar, the administrative officer, for making all the arrangements. Finally, a word of gratitude to Professor Vikas Tripathi, head of the department, whose leadership witnessed the success of this conference. Thank you very much again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May now request all of you to kindly stand up for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
The students to please be seated. I request the dignitaries to please come over for a group photograph. Meanwhile, the students please remain seated.